Hello, and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode number 61 for the week of Monday, June 11th. My name is Ryan Higgins. We're back from our trip overseas to the land of manga and anime last week. Now we're talking about boring old American comics again. I'm joined by my regular cast and crew of people.
Knuckleheads?
Yeah. Get over here, Curly. Who are you?
Brock Sager.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Omar Brodrick.
There you go.
Toby.
And Charlie.
Hello, guys.
And our laugh tracks here.
And off the mic, Jim, as always, he's back
Our
again.
live audience.
Yep.
Thank you.
We'll get you on these one of these days.
All right.
Actually, I do have an email that I was going to read last week, but I couldn't get into my email account for some reason. So I actually read it this week. It's by Dakazu, who's one of the regulars in the forum, and also one of the guys that runs the All Talk podcast. He had a question for us about the differences between some of the American and manga comics, and I thought it was an interesting question, so I'll read it here real quick.
Okay.
He says, "Hello, Comic Conspiracy cast members." He actually has two questions. I don't really have an answer for the second one, but I'll ask it. But the first one I do have an answer for. It says, in Japan, one chapter from as many as 20 different manga are combined and released into a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly magazine, such as Weekly Shonen Jump. Chapters for each specific series are then collected and released as volumes at a later date, basically like a trade paperback. Because of this system, a manga series can be canceled or lengthened based on popularity within the magazine. The two questions are, do you think this magazine system would work for American comics? And are the manga currently running or finished that we feel would have been lengthened past its prime? I can't really answer the second one too much, because I don't read a lot of those really long-running, like the Narutos and Bleaches, I'm sure, that just keep going and going and going. But for the first question, that magazine system, the way comics have been released, the collections are so big over there. Actually, I'll do a little sound test here, see if you guys at home can hear the difference between this. So the other week, actually, after I got this email, I was over at Kinokuniya. It's in the Japanese bookstores around here. They're around the country. There's a few of them.
That was pretty good pronunciation, by the way.
Thank you. I try.
You're welcome.
I actually picked up one of their big manga magazines that they have there. It was a Gundam magazine that came out. This, for those at home, is what $12 of American comic books sound like. So here we go. Okay, did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, crystal clear.
Yeah, hopefully they did. That was about 65 pages or so.
Yeah.
Here is $12 of Japanese comic books. This is 700 and we'll put about 725 pages, plus 2 full-size pull-out posters, plus a Gundam special appendix with character bios with another poster inside of it, character descriptions, tons of model kits. Yeah, I've actually been a fan of this size. Like, I would love to see an American company try this at this price point, but it's just never going to happen, and it's really kind of depressing. I would love to see, like, a monthly Batman anthology of, like, every Batman title for, like, $9.99.
It could be the DC one. It could be all the DC book every week in one lump sum.
Yeah.
Well, they could, but as Ryan was just talking about there, I think it's a bigger problem is the price point than whether or not it's possible.
Like CrossGen tried it back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where they would release basically a trade paperback of all their books from like 1 month or 1 week or whatever. Yeah, but it's like $20, $30 when you got to anything even closely resembling that size. Now it's not on the best of paper. It's black and white. There's a lot of shorts and kind of jokey stuff and lots of just advertisement, really, for their own products. So it's not quite the same model as American comic books.
For those who don't know what this magazine looks like, it's kind of similar to the Essentials.
It's actually thicker.
Yeah.
Putting it next to these Essentials, yeah, I mean, it's, Brock, I know you probably haven't seen these. It's pretty thick. And, I mean, again, manga is different than American comic books, but the way this is done, I mean, this is how they're all released over there. And it is an anthology, as we'll talk about later in the podcast. Anthologies don't sell in the U.S., so this is probably why this would never work here. However, I mean, manga is on the decline there, but if you can picture only 20 or 30 of these come out a week, and they sell they'll sell hundreds of thousands of copies. They used to sell in the millions. Those kind of heydays are over. But yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know. I kind of would like to see a company try it. Well,
they did try it. we had an American Jump for a while.
Right, and that didn't do. But that's manga. I mean, I would like to see like a superhero Marvel DC attempt it.
It'd be nice to see kind of these random stories. I mean, if DC released like a book, like a magazine this big every month, and it's like just a Batman story that somebody did, and a story about a character that we haven't seen in a long time or whatever. If it was just a collection of stories, I think it might work. But again, it's one of those things where they would sell that for what, $50?
And even in terms of sort of going into what that book has in it, the closest thing I can think of is almost like Wednesday Comics.
Yeah.
The way it had a lot of little stories that you could kind of follow from each to each. But I mean, even that was a pretty high price point for what it was.
Yeah, I think these were able to be so successful in Japan because how many copies they sold. And we will talk about the sales chart stuff here in a minute, but I just don't know that enough books would be profitable enough.
They also don't keep them over there either.
No, right. This is disposable.
Yeah. If they want the series to keep it, they buy the trades afterwards. But
right.
They read these on the trains because everybody got these long train rides over there, and subway rides that they just read them on the train, and once they're done, they let go of them. It's like newspaper,
right? And that's why they're super cheap quality.
Yeah.
I mean, this is actually a nicer looking one than the ones I've seen before. The ones I normally see back in the day used to be like multicolored paper, really cheap. You could barely read these things, and you'd buy the collections, which were the nice versions. I think I would love to see them try, but anthologies just don't do well here, which is unfortunate.
Look at Marvel Comics Presents and Dark Horse Presents, and even DC Comics Presents.
Dark Horse Presents is 80 pages and almost as expensive as that. Yeah. That's 10 times as big.
Yeah. I mean, I think you mentioned it too. The big thing is this. I mean, I think we talked about it last episode. Was in Japan, everyone reads manga. Like 95% of the population. It's just normal for them. That's the way they read, especially after the war. That's how they pretty much hid their literature and hid their culture from American imperialists. Here in America, for the most part, what's the percentage? You probably know that, like right off the top of your head. Like 2%?
If that. If that. Yeah, I mean, what are we at? About 300 million right now?
Something like
You'd
that.
be lucky.
Yeah.
If 2% have probably picked up a comic in their life. Not reading regularly, you're talking maybe 250,000 people. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not many.
Speaking of digital, by the way, one of my coworkers today picked up his first digital comic. It was AVX.
Oh, cool.
Randomly.
Cool.
He goes, "Did you read comics on your pad?" I was like, "Well, I have some on there, but because I picked up my first one." And that's some guy that random, like that's what we're talking about. New Spinneret guys. So something new.
And in Japan, I mean, the print is hurting bad. It's hurting real bad. I mean, those days of Weekly Jump and all those selling millions and millions of copies, those are gone. That just doesn't happen anymore. Mm-hmm. And digital is a big part of that, too. I mean, they've taken to it, especially with the phones and the smartphones and a lot of the scanlation stuff. So.
And it's funny, when I was over there riding the GR line, there's so many people just reading their phone. I mean, it was really bizarre. I didn't know what the hell they were doing because everybody was just staring at their phone. And
but
if they're reading full stories.
I'm sure if we were in New York and you're on the subway, I guarantee you every person's on their phone in the subway, too. So just taking up the
But supposedly they
were
doing novels. They were reading novels, and the screen was really small. It's not like smartphones. Yeah. They were reading on the old school flip phone, and they were just reading their stuff on there. It was kind of cool.
Those phones actually stayed pretty popular over there.
Yeah,
the flip phone ones over the smartphones. I wonder why.
Well, what was the second question?
Are there any manga currently running or finished that we feel has been lengthened past its prime? And I just don't know enough about it to really answer that.
I've only really read the mangas of animes I really like, and they're typically more condensed than the anime. So,
but I guarantee you, stuff like Naruto, if that book ends, or One Piece, I'm sure they pay them whatever they want to continue this because that's the only thing keeping those magazines afloat right now.
Here's the problem. I don't want to say it stayed beyond its prime just because I haven't read it anymore. But I almost want to say it is because of that, because I'm still buying the books and I haven't read a book in like ages. So I don't know though. I think Lane is still up on that actually.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him. So, all right, thank you, Dakazu, and good luck on the All Talk podcast. It's been a good show. I like talking to those guys on our Geekbox Mumble server from time to time. So it's fun, guys. Let's see, where do you guys want to go now? You want to talk about the DC cancellation stuff?
Sure.
All right.
Yes.
Charlie's like,
Well,
I'm on this.
we'll talk some bad news and some good news. Well, it's bad news and good news, I guess. DC officially canceled 4 of their titles. No real surprise. They had already announced Justice League International, which is kind of sad to see go, but meh. Let's see. What is it? What's the other
Man?
one? Right. Voodoo, Resurrection Man, and Captain Atom are now the other 3 books that have officially been canceled to make way for the 4 new books, which is Talon, a Batman spin-off book featuring one of the owls. I don't have the list in front of me, so I'm gonna totally not remember all of them. Phantom Stranger, right?
Yep.
Dan Didio doing that with Brent Anderson, who I really like his art. What else is there?
National Comics isn't a replacement. It's
No.
one-shots. It's
Come on, Ryan.
Killing me.
Come on, you're killing me. That you don't know.
I'm just
With
like,
me
I don't
sitting
have it
here-
in front of me. I'm
With
drawing.
me sitting here,
I'm trying to blank.
with me sitting here,
What?
and you're not recalling Team 7?
Oh, Team 7. Yes, which that I'm actually looking forward to probably the most of any of the ones coming up.
What's Team 7?
It's the Wildstorm book.
but
the old
this
team.
isn't. this
Rifter.
okay.
No death.
This-
No death blow for some reason.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But
Fairchild's dad is in it. Lynch from Gen 13 is in it. But I think he's black in this one. I don't know yet, but I think he's black in this one. He got a Nick Fury treatment.
But this
Oh,
one
Deathstroke,
is
yeah,
different. It's right.
Wade
it's,
Wilson
it's,
is on it, yeah.
It's Wade Wilson. It's let's see. It's Diana Lance, who's Black Canary. Amanda Waller, who is from Suicide Squad.
Wait. Wade Wilson.
Steve Trevor, who is from Wonder Woman and now Justice League. John
So I
Lynch.
guess he survives.
Yeah, John Lynch, who is from. He's just from the
Gen
original.
13.
Oh, he's the
He's Gen
Gen 13 guy.
13,
Alex Fairchild, who is Caitlin Fairchild's like
Dad.
father, right? Cole Cash, who is Grifter.
That's how we know it. I mean, you
Right.
never know what they're going to do this time around.
right. And Slade Wilson, who's Deathstroke. So that's a badass team, and I'm actually really excited to see what they're going to do with
Who's
this.
the creative team on that, or have they not announced it
It is people I'm not really familiar with. Justin Jordan. Oh, Jesus Marino is the artist, so
Oh,
that's
yeah.
awesome. Justin Jordan is the writer, and I don't know him. So, but whatever, it's a cool team. So I'm
Okay.
down.
Aren't we still missing a book?
Yeah.
That's 3.
Phantom Stranger. Team 7.
Oh, of the new released ones.
Yeah.
Phantom Stranger, Team 7,
Talon.
Talon, and
yeah.
there's another one.
What's the other one?
Totally drawing a blank here. Let's see. Why don't you guys talk about these books while I look it up?
Well, I am not going to miss Voodoo. I'm not, and I mean, I've been reading Captain Atom, but it's been very, very, very hit and miss. So I'm kind of glad it's ending, just so I can stop reading it. But no, that's for me with the sort of second wave and now the third wave. They're cutting books that I feel haven't really hit a mark that has kept me reading, and they keep adding books that have the potential to take their place.
Sorry, Sword and Sorcery, the other anthology with they're bringing back Amethyst. Man, I don't know how I totally blanked on that. Go ahead.
Okay. No, but I mean, for me, their second wave replacements have been good for the most part. I mean, I'm very iffy about Dial H, but I mean, the rest have been good.
I think Blue Beetle and I don't remember what the other one, Grifter, are kind of the two that I'm like, how are these books still going?
Well, it sounds to me because they're adding Grifter to another team. And
So he's probably next on the shopping block.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Rob Liefeld fans, but Deathstroke and I shouldn't say that because I heard Grifter got better.
well,
So we'll see.
for me, for the most part, the ones that he took over have actually been readable versus where they were. Deathstroke is the one example where I was really enjoying the book before he took over.
Me
and
too.
I was not a fan of his treatment of Lobo.
I'm not a fan of his treatment of much stuff. So. yeah. But I think these books sound pretty cool, especially Team 7. I'm super stoked for that. Toby, now you've actually read a lot of the Team 7 stuff. Do you care about this kind of change up? Does this bother you at all?
Not yet. I don't know. I'll see when I read it. So I mean,
Yeah.
I do want Deathblow to be on it, but hey.
Yeah, they haven't shown Deathblow yet in this, have they?
They shown him in what as a
was Grifter 9.
in Grifter.
Oh, like a
At the
flashback
very-
or something?
No, at the
No,
very,
he-
very
He
end.
showed up in Grifter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the 10's not out yet, right? So
No,
we
10's,
haven't...
10's Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I don't know. Grifter, I read the first couple and I liked it. I just didn't...
I really I hated it from the beginning.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yeah. No, I mean, but Team
I had
7
no
should be
problem with it.
a past book though. It's not a current book. I think.
Right.
Yeah, and it's going to be like this again. I'm guessing, right?
We don't know.
Yeah.
It could be kind of the way they did JLA, like do the origin story and then move it into the present.
Yeah.
Well, I guess just from looking at some of the solicitations for the issue 0, it looks like a lot of what they're doing is sort of setting up for the Team 7 book. I mean, they're
Right.
tied into a lot of like the Grifter and the Deathstroke, and
JLA,
these teams-
JLA, Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
Suicide Squad.
it's all over the place.
Yeah. What about, do you guys see this new Green Lantern that we're
Yeah.
finally getting introduced to?
Yes, ever since that Free Comic Book Day, there's
I don't know
that
that
question.
I don't know that I'm feeling it. I don't get it.
Well, it's not that I don't get it. I'm kind of guessing it's going to have something to do with the Third Army stuff, and
He looks like a Green Lantern Rage from the
Yeah.
New Warriors and Avengers, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Like he's got the
he
same
actually-
mask.
He actually does.
yeah.
He's got the same mask. He's kind of got that like thug look. Like if Rage had a gun, like he kind of looked like this. Why does he have a gun? I usually don't like to prejudge stuff like this, especially a book like Green Lantern and Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
But this is weird. I don't know what I'm feeling.
See, for me, it's really just one of those. I have no clue how he's going to play into the Third Army story arc, but it seems to me like that's what they're doing. Is they're kind of using him as the face of the changes that are happening that the Guardians are trying to pull.
But he is human, right?
That's what it appears to be. But
Yeah. Weird. Yeah, I don't quite know where they're going with this.
yeah.
I
I have absolute faith in John. So
was gonna
there
say
you go.
I haven't really been let down, so I guess I'm fine. It's just weird. Yeah, I just don't know. Have you
Yes.
seen any of this, Omar? Did you see this Green Lantern guy? The new
I
one?
think I saw it, but it just obviously didn't stay in my mind.
Yeah.
And I only remember like really cool things or just really amazing things that just like pop out in my
Giant,
face.
gigantic boobs.
Yeah, those two.
Yeah.
Well, there's some good news and bad news that we're losing, especially Resurrection Man. It's a damn shame
Yeah.
because it's a fantastic book, and all you that didn't read it suck ass. However, the other books, no big loss really. But this is the nature of the day for DC. I mean, this is going to happen continuously. We're going to get more of this.
Well, this is
so.
what Jim
And-
is saying, though. I mean, it's like they're a TV network, and they only have so many slots. And
Sure.
the weaker things go. If it doesn't meet a certain criteria, it's got to go, and
Yep.
they replace it with new things.
I mean,
and I love it.
And which I
think-
kind of like. I mean, they stick into the 52.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like it. It's not like, oh, we're doing good. Let's have 62 now.
yeah.
You know?
Well, I tell you, they canceled 6 books the first time, right? I was reading one of the 6. Of the 6 they launched, I'm reading 5 of the 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now I just picked up 4 more titles.
Well, it also keeps kind of the quality going. Also, like that, they know that, hey, if your book is not doing well enough,
Yeah.
it could be gone. So I think that keeps kind of the quality level in all the books out
Well,
there.
I guess the only downside I see to sticking with the 52 number just has to do with I can't see how it's going to get any easier for any new talent to get into the industry with the way they're kind of doing these.
Anthology magazines.
Though, you know what, though? DC has kind of tried that, though, and it hasn't really worked because they've done, like, their, those 80-page giants and stuff in the
But those
past.
are $8.
Well, no, they were like $6, but they were bad. I actually, when I was doing my Great Purge a couple months ago, I went through and pulled almost all those out because they were all pretty terrible. There was maybe like one lead story that was decent, but overall, it was not good.
Those were not the ones with the Dustin Nguyen covers, were they?
Yeah, they were.
Ah.
Yeah, the insides are pretty crap. But what's
I guess I'll rip off the covers. and keep the
yeah,
covers.
yeah. But so again, we're losing 4 titles here, and of the 4, or we're losing 4 titles, 2 of which I read. Of these 4, I'm going to pick up all 4.
Yeah.
So DC's doing it right. I mean, they've got, and I don't see why I would, unless they're terrible. I don't see why I would stop any of these titles. They're all interesting to me.
Well,
And 5 of the 6 relaunch titles are all absolute buys.
Yeah.
So unless it totally goes off there, and I kind of like, because I'm not a big Wildstorm guy, so I think Grifter and Voodoo, to me, I'm just like, well, it's Wildstorm. I didn't care about them before. I don't really care about them now. but kind of putting them together, to me, that's a much better way of doing it. Martian Manhunter is a big reason I'm picking up Stormwatch, even though I do like Stormwatch a lot.
Yeah,
so
you better.
I do. It's great. I hope people keep reading it because I don't think it's doing too good in the sales charts.
Well, hopefully now that they've changed up the creative team on it and stuff a little bit, it will help.
Yeah.
So,
You know what's funny though? I actually I got a page which is a Deathblow Batman crossover.
Ooh. Is that the Libra Mejo one? Or?
Yeah, but it's kind of funny now. Technically, that's not a outer universe experience now.
Right.
It's they're in the same universe now. That can actually happen now.
Well,
So
they
it's-
did all like the Superman Gen 13, and I mean,
Yeah,
they did a lot of
it's just-
those.
It's just
Yeah.
at a time that was special. Now it's like, hey, they're actually coexisting in the same universe. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, speaking of sales chart stuff, we got all the official numbers for May 2012, and instead of trying to paraphrase this, I'm just going to read directly from Newsarama, who took the info from comicron.com, just to say, because I figured this sums it up, these first couple paragraphs sums it up a lot better than I could. All right, here we go. As reported on Friday, led by Avengers vs. X-Men #4, the comic book direct market orders of 44.68 million in comics and graphic novel, that's full retail value, is the largest sum seen in a single month since Diamond began reporting final order data in February 2003, and is probably a higher figure seen in any month since 1995. Now with the estimates out, we can see that the two other Diamond exclusive era records have been set. Diamond exclusive era means 1997 to current, once Diamond became basically the only distributor. Diamond's top 300 comics had orders totaling 25.72 million, an increase of 44% over last May, and the highest total since Diamond became the sole distributor in 1997. It beats the total of 25.37 million in December 2008. And trade paperbacks, although not number one ever, it is pretty phenomenal, 8.27 million, just missing the 1 month record from November 2008. And so it has become, I think, the best month since they've started recording. Including the 300th place issue, which is as far down as the sales chart goes. It is not the highest ordered, but it is the second highest since 1996, with 4,800 copies sold. So the top 300 all sold 4,800 or more, up to 150 million, or 150 million, 150,000 or so. So that's phenomenal news, especially up from last month or last year. I'm sorry, from last May, and May at the store here is our best month we've had. April was our third best month now ever. Sales are ridiculous with DC kind of doing this relaunching and starting and ending some underselling books and underperforming books and launching new ones. Are going to keep that high. Marvel, despite our lack of interest in it, AVX is still selling amazingly well compared to Fear itself and Secret Invasion, some of their other crossovers. I thought the whole double shipping thing, we all thought it, I think, that double shipping thing was going to bite Marvel in the ass, but it's working really well, and no one cares. So that's good news. It's probably the best news comics have had in a long time.
Well, maybe that's part of the problem is the double shipping. So, I mean, if Marvel's double shipping stuff, of course numbers are going to be higher because you're getting double the amount of what Marvel's getting. So it's not it's kind of like this month is not necessarily an actual month of comic books. It's a Marvel inflated month of comic books because we've been double shipped. Now, people are buying them, which is great, but again, you're kind of flooding the market with double shipping all of these titles, so it's almost like you're taking your whole line and double shipping.
Well,
and it's a 5-week month.
Well, they are, and this has been going on for like 9 months now. So, yeah, no, this is across the board, huge bumps for every book because of AVX, which we've seen here. I've bumped every title because of AVX. People are coming in for that. Basically what we were looking at last year was Marvel shipping 100 titles, and 50 of them were one-shots and specials and mini-series about characters that no one cares about. Now we're seeing 50 titles, 100 issues. 2 issues of Uncanny, 2 issues of X-Force, 2 issues of New Avengers, 2 issues of Avengers, 2 issues of AVX, 2 issues of Versus. Yeah, it works. I'm totally cool with it. So people seem to like it. The big books succeed. Now DC has done a good job of making books like Animal Man and Swamp Thing. Fortunately, not Resurrection Man, but some of these smaller books hits. Marvel doesn't have these type of books, though,
No.
because they kind of only have the superhero stuff. So I don't see Marvel being able to do this. This is the best thing they can do to hit these sales from the way they can.
I don't know. It's most of the feedback I've kind of gotten from people I've talked to, and maybe it's just sort of the nature of it, but they kind of budget X amount that they're going to spend every week, so they may just move around their budget a little bit to buy 2 issues of Daredevil, 2 issues of Spider-Man, and all that. But I don't know. I do tend to wonder how much of it's really that people don't care and how much of it's just caused them to drop other titles that they may have been not so excited about.
Well, I've had a couple people come in and they were like, "Oh, I dropped a lot of stuff, but I seem to be spending as much as I was this time last year." I'm like, "That's because Marvel's double shipping." I've never had one of them say anything about it. They're just like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can't drop Uncanny. I can't drop Avengers. I
Yeah.
can't drop Daredevil, so I'm just going to keep buying them." So,
But see, they pre-dropped them so they could spend the same amount.
well, yeah. I mean, I saw people that were $20 a week customers get down to $10 a week, and now they're back up to $20 a week, but they're not complaining about it. Again, your mileage may vary, but it seems good to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Brock, have you dropped any books because of the double shipping?
I don't read Marvel. I don't buy Marvel.
But you didn't drop it because of the double shipping now.
I drop Marvel for many reasons. Just, I mean, double shipping, paper quality of the books wasn't up to what I thought it was.
Sure.
And it's one of those things where to me, it didn't carry to buy those books.
Yeah,
but again, it's like you're talking with DC does the new relaunching stuff. It's cool that those 4 titles are coming out. I'm going to pick up those 4 titles. But I'm bummed that they're dropping Resurrection Man, which, it's DNA writing it, and it's a book, and this book is being dropped. So it's like,
But I mean, okay. The question is, if DC announced tomorrow they're going to double ship every title,
I probably have to drop more.
so the new 52 becomes a new 104.
Yeah, I'd probably have to. But what you're saying is people were at 20 and went to 10, and now are back to 20. So the double shipping didn't affect them because they've already dropped and are now back to their numbers before.
But they wanted to get back to 10. So my question is this: but which books are you going to drop? Are you going to drop Green Lantern and Daredevil and Green Lantern and Batman and Justice League, or are you going to drop Grifter and Hawkman and Resurrection Man?
Well, no, that's fine. But you were saying about the $10. They were at 20, then they went to 10, and then Marvel started double shipping. Now they're back to 20. I don't think they noticed because they were used to spending 20. But it's when you double ship and I'm spending 20. Now I'm spending, 40.
But their thing was, I can't spend $20 a week. I can only spend 10, so I'm dropping these books. And now because they kept all the popular books which are being double shipped, they're spending 20 again. But I don't see people complaining anymore.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Has it caused the box sizes to increase at all? Because I know there are people who come in and will buy X amount of books and...
Funny enough, we are at the thinnest I've ever had our subscription. Well, I mean, we usually have about a good 16 boxes.
Except for my box. Huh?
Well, yeah,
Yours.
You're special.
and Jim just grabbed me another box to put aside for him. The way we have our subscription boxes, I have about room for about 16 or 18 boxes, magazine boxes of comics, which is roughly
250.
No, in the magazines, about 150 or so bags of boards, 100, maybe 100. So call it 2,000 comics. I'm usually stuffing those full, piling them up. I mean, people are coming in. Our regular subscribers, I have about a handful of guys that only come in once every few months. So those aside, I mean, what usually was 8 or 12 boxes is 4 boxes, 3.5 boxes now. People are coming in way more regularly, which helps a lot. If you have a comic shop, go there every week or at least every other week. It helps a real lot.
Well, I think it's also, I mean, we've been, in the downturn of the economy, and so a lot of people, I think now are at the point where they've trimmed everything to the level that they're comfortable, and now they're getting more comfortable being, okay, I can go a little bit higher this time. Whereas before, people were kind of just, I want this, maybe I don't want this and this and this. So they were kind of just haphazardly, buying.
I'm also, maybe this is just coming from my perspective, but whenever having a box, I always tended to leave the stuff in there that I could hold off on getting this week till it was a slower week, and then I pick up my Green Lantern, and I pick up my there's always books that you can't leave in the box.
Yeah.
So if there's more books you can't leave in the box, well,
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, now that I have to pay for my books sometimes, I actually do look at the price tag a whole lot more. And there's books I used to just pick up just because I like the cover. I mean, I look at the cover, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm just gonna buy it. But now I'm actually looking down and go, wait a minute, it's a $4 book. Like, why am I buying this? You know, it's actually going through my head now. And those are actually a lot of the ones I'm dropping. Is the ones are not actually ones I'm reading that I just kind of was going to get on the whim. If they're $2.99, no problem. But at $4, where I'm not even reading it, where it's just something that grabbed me on it, those are more likely for me to, just not pick up anymore at this point.
Marvel's about half and half. They've actually, it's not all $3.99. They're about
There's
half.
a lot of them. It's the ones that are most likely get dropped out of the $3.99 books.
Yeah,
Especially if they're not ones in my actual reading pile.
Right. Sim. Good sales chart stuff there. It's good to see
That doesn't include digital, right?
more positive months. And no, that doesn't include digital, including. But I can say that May was also the best month by a large margin for our digital sales. A lot of that has to do with Marvel. A lot of it has to do with them having some ridiculously good sales. But yeah,
I've noticed.
they had like 100 Bullets for 99 cents an issue, Fables for 99 cents an issue. Like
I know
tons of
DC
crazy
did
stuff.
well this month on
Mouse
digital.
Guard recently was on sale.
Yeah, I know. I saw some of those. So yeah, I mean, our digital sales are through the roof. That's digital.comicsconspiracy.biz if you want to buy some comics through us.
Thank you, all those people who buy through us.
Yeah. I think I got some E3 stuff, and then maybe we can do some picks because we haven't done picks in a while. Oh, I think Brock, you want to talk Earth 2, but you could do that do you want to do that during your pick?
No, because it's not my pick.
Okay. Well, let's talk some E3 stuff, and then we'll talk about Earth 2 briefly. E3 was this past weekend. Maybe some of you heard about it. There wasn't a lot of comic book stuff there, but there was a couple. They showed a bunch of stuff of Lego Batman 2, which I think, Charlie, you played the first one, right?
Yeah.
Did anyone else play Lego Batman?
No.
Lego Batman is awesome.
Yeah, Lego Batman is awesome.
But
And
I
am
really amused by Grand Theft Lego.
Oh yeah, that's their other Lego game, which is it's Grand Theft Lego.
Yeah.
Totally.
Dude.
Just minus the strippers and prostitutes and stuff.
No, they
but
probably have the
They
strippers
might
and
be there.
prostitutes.
Just look like Lego.
it is a totally open world Lego game they're making, like Cops and Robbers style. It looks all badass. But
Choppers
fun.
and everything.
That's awesome.
But Lego Batman looks really good too.
Yeah.
Which this actually is basically it's a Lego DC universe. It
Oh, yeah.
has the
And-
entire Justice League in it. It has tons of villains. There's even I think a bunch of characters are. I mean, they've already talked about a lot of this. This wasn't exclusive to E3, but they just show a lot of it there. Some of the characters are exclusive to certain retailers, I think, like Best Buy and Amazon have pre-order bonuses.
If it's anything like all these other games, I'm sure it's going to be a limited time and then DLC.
Right. So if you want to play like Cyborg, and I think they even have like some of the New 52 costumes. Like they've really done a ton of crazy stuff for the Lego Batman.
New 52 Legoed.
Yeah. They showed a
It's
lot.
fun.
They showed.
If Best Buy is doing Nightwing, that's where I'll go buy it.
Yeah. They showed a lot of Injustice as well, which is the new DC Universe fighting game, which looks badass.
Yeah, fighting game, DC.
Like,
Fucking gotta buy it.
yeah. I was talking with Geekbox host Ryan Scott about this earlier. He's like, why is Flash in the game? Why does Superman have a health bar? Like, he should be invincible. It's like, shut up. Jerk off. But besides that, the game looked incredible. The graphics look incredible. It's kind of like half armor, half New 52 style. But
Well, if it's like any other fighting game, I'm sure they're going to have alternate costumes.
yeah, of course. Superman has like some crazy thing where he punches you through out into this outer space and then slams you back down to Earth. Like, it
Well,
looks great.
See, this is
being
why we
done
need
by
armor.
the Mortal Kombat.
yeah,
people,
yeah.
Yeah, that
But
game was incredible.
by the most
Love
recent
that one.
Mortal Kombat guys. Yeah. So that looks really cool.
Well, hopefully we'll make up for that really expensive Justice League Super Nintendo game I bought off of eBay like 20 years ago. That was horrible. Didn't live up to my expectation at all.
The Super Nintendo one?
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it was Super
the
Nintendo
fighting
one.
game, right?
Yeah, that was horrible.
If I'm not mistaken, that was one of the first games made by Blizzard, who makes Diablo and World of Warcraft. If it's the game I'm thinking of, that was by them.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, it's
because
really-
I'm really into the fighting games. I collect all the Street Fighters. I like the Ninja Turtle, the fighter one, and so on. And then I found out there was a Justice League one.
Uh-huh.
Being the nerd I am, that I get to play Superman versus Batman, have Wonder Woman in there. I'm like, fuck yeah, I have to hunt this sucker down.
I love you, Blizzard.
Yeah. Oh, their days.
And I found it. It wasn't worth it.
No. There was a trailer shown, no gameplay footage, but they showed a trailer for Avengers Battle for Earth, which a lot of people were asking, why was there no Avengers movie game? Well, here we go. Featuring such classic Avengers characters as Wolverine, Venom, Spider-Man, Magneto, and Rogue.
How is this an Avengers?
They also have Hawkeye and Captain America and Black Widow, Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk. But the entire trailer is like not Avengers characters, and I thought that was really goofy. But then the Avengers show up at the very end. But yeah, don't know anything about it.
I don't know.
I
I obviously don't know very much about it either, but my natural assumption is it's going to be the same kind of game like Marvel Ultimate Alliance and all that.
Yeah, which are great games.
But I love all the sort of like X-Men ones and then Ultimate Alliance, all those games were a lot of fun, and definitely you could tell kind of went, this is what comic people would love in a game.
You saw their free-to-play Diablo Ultimate Alliance clone that's coming out, right?
No, I didn't see that one.
This is the Marvel MMO that's been worked on for a long time.
I didn't realize they were doing it free to play though.
Yeah, it's free to play. It's basically Diablo style random loot, and it's done in the same kind of fashion as Ultimate Alliance and X-Men Legends and all that. So, yeah.
Free to play is good.
And the last thing that came out that I thought was kind of comic related, and I thought was interesting, was they showed a lot of footage from Batman Arkham City Armored Edition, which is the version of Batman Arkham City for the Wii U.
Which
so tempted.
Looks kind of cool.
I am
just
very
to
tempted.
play with the controls.
Have you, Omar? You played any of the Arkham City games at all? I know Brock's a
played
huge
around
fan.
with them, but I never bought them.
Yeah.
Never played it just because.
How can you put them down?
That's the thing. That's the point. So I used to be a
Omar's not a-
hardcore gamer. I was like playing like 10 to 15 hours, a week or
Then
even
he found
more.
Hero Click, so leave him alone.
I know Omar's not a big gamer these days, so we'll give you a pass.
Neither am I, but I played the fucking shit out of those Batman games.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. But I won't play it on the Wii. I don't.
Well, the Wii U is.
It's made to I like what they did, how they're bringing these games to the Wii, so people who own the Wii can have it. But changing the game up to use the controller, which is cool, and for a feature. But I don't need to rebuy Batman just to play it on a Wii.
Yeah, the controller for the Wii U, Omar, is basically like your iPad there, except it has two handles on the side with controllers on it. And what they're doing with this is that a lot of the menu selections are on the controller.
Okay.
And like if you're aiming something, you basically put the controller up and kind of move it as like a window into like the view sensor for what you're looking at.
Which the stuff for like the detective mode and stuff looked really cool with the Wii U controller.
Yeah, they're basically taking a lot of the stuff that's on the screen and so items and backpacks and menus and maps and all the stuff and moving it to the controller so you can kind of go back and forth and
fairly tempted.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I don't know that I need to buy the game again, but it does look badass. So if you've never played Arkham City and you're buying a Wii U, I would buy this because Batman Arkham City was fucking phenomenal.
Bargain bin.
Yeah.
You know what'd be cool about their translation over to the Wii or U or whatever, being that it's a little more kid-centric, is that instead of calling Catwoman a bitch, they call her a rich. Take that, Rich! One hand, say the face, Rich!
Well, that's the whole thing with the Wii U, is that they're actually like, and we can have Batman, we're going to have Assassin's Creed, we're going to have like real, third party. They actually have like a standard Xbox-style controller. Yeah. Like it's not just Mario games anymore.
I think the Wii became a system for the family, and
then the iPad took over.
It became a system for the family to play and stuff like that. But if that's the only system you have, well, when the kids go to sleep, Dad wants to play something too. I mean, even if it's Laser Shoot Larry, but
Nintendo's always going to have that stigma of being a kids franchise, and they are. I mean, all their games they showed were they showed actually a badass Castlevania game for the 3DS. But most of the other stuff they showed was just Mario, and it's going to be the same game, Pikmin, and all this other stuff. They look cool, but I understand that a lot of people don't get into it.
Okay, my kids love Mario, and I love Mario. It's the best of both worlds.
Sure, but the dude bros out there that only play or only play like Modern Warfare or whatever, like
still play Mario Kart.
They don't care about that. I played Mario Kart last night. I got my ass kicked. So I love Mario Kart.
I'm surprised you're not talking about Star Wars 1313.
It's not a comic book.
So?
Could be a comic book.
It probably will be a comic book.
Yeah.
Everything can be a comic book.
I'm sure they'll make a comic out of it. It's actually like a mature rated Like, is there swearing and violence and nudity? Maybe I have no idea. A Star Wars game, which is
Wait,
crazy.
alien nudity in Star
It'll
Wars?
definitely be a Dark Horse comic for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
with everything.
My interest is piqued.
So yeah, there's some stuff. There's cool comic book stuff.
But E3 wasn't overall impressive this year. I mean, it had some okay stuff, but there was no...
This is the Geekbox conversation, but my take on E3 is that people mistake it that it's for the consumer when it's not. It's for the retailers, and like Marvel and DC, who don't announce anything at San Diego or anything at cons anymore, they announce it on their own websites through their own press release people. When on a slow day, when they're the only news story.
Yeah.
And then E3 is now the same thing. It's not for us. They make it. They make it seem like it's for us, but it's not. I still like watching them. I still get excited, but I think people mistake what E3 is really for.
Yeah.
So, but whatever. It's cool though.
Speaking of E's and numbers, how about E2? Earth 2?
Earth 2. Earth 2 number 2 came out.
Yeah. It's like $20, right?
Yeah, except for Comics Conspiracy, where when we get our reorder first prints in this week, they'll be cover price.
I'm sure I can go over to Heroes and at least buy for 10.
And go flip them on eBay if you really need to.
Wait,
So,
which one is?
Earth 2, number 2. First
Yeah.
appearance of Alan Scott.
First person
New-
of gay
It's
Alan
already
Scott.
going for 20.
Well, according to the most reputable
eBay?
the most reputable source for comics news, Rich Johnston.
Ugh.
What's up, Rich?
Actually, I wonder if that was like with the variant cover, because there is that 1 in 25 variant cover, which I don't doubt that's probably going for $20. But
I think there was one sold. The link that he connected was there's
All
3
that
available,
matters-
and 2 of them were bought for about $20.
All that matters is if one sells for that price, all of a sudden the book's that price. Really, it is.
yeah.
It is, people. It is. That's why you should bring it back and sell it to us.
Bring it back. Well, let's bring it back.
We'll give you $1 for it.
I'm looking here to see. I mean, yeah, people are getting like $20 for the variant. I'm looking at, unsold for $10, a 1 and 2 for $13. People are, I mean, there's a few here. I don't see a lot here for
People
that
still
price.
got the comic books wrong. It's not investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Unless
I mean,
it's Walking Dead number
no,
1.
it's $5.
Which I think I have. It might be at your place.
It's $5-6. People aren't getting much for it.
Just tell him cool story, bro. Just tell him that. Say it's
story,
mine.
bro.
Cool story, bro.
I still got my Walking Dead number 1. Now that I really don't know if I should sell. I have a 9/8 number 19, which is the first appearance of Michonne,
Uh-huh.
and I'm just waiting for the show to start before I put that on eBay because I know that's going to be huge. But I got a full run, and
Don't break it.
I don't know that I want to.
Don't break it.
I
I'll
don't
sell
know.
you my number 1, and you could just sell that one.
I don't know that I want to grade them in eBay the whole lot because, like, man, I could use like $5,000, but I have a box and I don't want to get rid of them. I don't. It's weird. Like, it's not that I don't care about the money. I mean, I do care because that's a lot of friggin' money. But I don't know. I'll have to think. I'll have to keep thinking.
So about Earth 2.
Yeah, Earth 2 is a comic book about Green Lantern. It was
I
pretty
read
good.
it. It was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong with James Robinson, Nicholas Scott. Besides all that, gay hype, it's a solid book. It's done by great creators, and it's totally a new approach
The
towards
hype.
the GSA.
The hype is such bullcrap. I mean, the hype was not done on DC's part. The hype was done on the news part, the fans'
sure.
part, and,
For sure.
and that's how you build actual
Hey,
excitement.
we have to thank the haters, 1 million angry
Yeah.
moms
Just true news
for getting people into the comic stores to buy comic books. Maybe that's why we did so well.
Now, I'd just like people to realize you don't need to keep asking me, so they made Green Lantern gay?
Yeah,
No.
I
Which
saw.
leads to a whole different conversation and goes, there's many Green Lanterns. What?
Yeah.
Well,
There was
He's not black?
There was a news article that was on our local Fox affiliate, and they actually interviewed Jim Syme, who owns Isotope Comics up in San Francisco. And I almost wonder if he was like trying to kind of explain to him because I couldn't really tell what his whole conversation was because they showed a short clip.
Yeah, this is a little edit.
Yeah, but I know this conversation of Green Lantern's gay. No, yes and no, blah blah blah.
Well,
but one of the worst things I saw, and it linked to some of the Geekbox forums, there's some dumb comic, webcomic, who, again, these people obviously don't understand, and it showed Alan Scott and his boyfriend, who's Asian, like, kissing and making out. And then there was like this overlay map of like comic book fans, racists, and in the middle was, those that get it. And I totally was staring at this joke for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, I really don't get this. What is this trying to say? And they're like, oh, it's because his boyfriend's Asian, and he's weak to yellow. And I'm like, Alan Scott's not weak to yellow. He's weak to wood. Now, that's a different joke. but just this goes how bad... people like, no, you guys don't understand, so just don't bother.
Why does this feel like a bizarro episode of Comics Conspiracy? Because we have Ryan talking about sex, and I'm being totally quiet. What the hell's going on here?
I don't know. It's scary when it happens.
I don't know.
No, I actually had this experience because I wrote a little blurb on it, and I was saying that all the media outlets are getting it wrong because they need to be saying it's a Green Lantern that's gay, not the Green Lantern is gay. And somebody, hold on. And somebody said, well, no, it's the Green Lantern verse 2. I'm like, yes, but it is a Green Lantern. So it's one of those things where it's just taking that word the and and replace it with the makes it a completely different. Now it's a marketable story to get people talking about it.
Well, I will give it this, that I would actually say Alan Scott is the Green Lantern because he was the first.
The original.
So,
yeah.
So they could put it that way. The original Green Lantern is now gay.
Right, which the news article actually, or the news thing on TV did actually state, oh, this is the original version of the character that was in the 40s, not the one that was in the movies and stuff like that. So they actually knew what they were talking about, which
even
is
though
good.
they used the Green Lantern, the GLC, logo.
Oh, right.
Even though they did that. And then I have, a bunch of my friends saying, hey, bro, what's up? Because, I'm always trying to, turn them on to Green Lantern, or actually the books and everything, and just reading the old Reborn series and whatnot. He's all, yeah, bro, what's up with Ryan Reynolds, bro? What's up with him, being a cock eater? What the hell? I was like, okay.
I'm surprised I haven't gotten shit from walking around with my hat on.
Yeah. No, but the thing is...
Well,
is,
they might like you a little more now.
Oh, nice.
Well, here's the thing. We are focusing on this 20,000 times more than anyone. They saw an article in the newspaper, they watched the news, and they're like, comic book character's gay. Okay. And then American Idol comes on, and they completely forgot. So that no one cares.
Well, I just think it's really funny that...
It's not as bad as making, what if Superman became gay? That would have been, outcry, blah, blah,
I've
this,
had,
blah,
I've
blah,
had
that.
people tell me it should have just been Superman and Batman straight up, just the actual character, because that would have been news. That would have been huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still love your quote from last
especially if it
week.
was Batman.
You know what would have been news, and I'm surprised it wasn't picked up, that the whole DC universe was black in the most recent issue, or the last issue, not the most recent, in Action
Was
Comics.
it Action Comics?
Yeah, that would have been fucking awesome if the stories picked that up, because that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
I liked it.
That was a good issue.
Maybe if there were black and gay, it would have been in the news.
Oh, there you go.
That's
you
a missing key there.
Yeah, race is over. We don't care about race anymore, and that's just sexual identity. So.
Yeah, the entire universe is gay.
I still find it hilarious that Ninjets, which has tons of chicks on the cover, and then has gay sex going on in the book, is not talked about at all.
It's an independent book. No one cares.
This is true. That's why Cross never gets any action.
Yeah. They get lots of action in Cross, just the book just doesn't get any action
You
itself.
pick up that book every time it comes in to look for the rape scene.
I just flip through that book every time because I'm like, wow, this somehow gets worse every issue. Occasionally there'll be an issue that's like, oh, there's only mild decapitation. It's not that bad. Sometimes it's like, oh, man. I don't know. And I totally don't bag it either. I just leave it on the shelf. So that's the best part.
And then Charlie's kids come in here and go, Daddy, I want to read this book.
Oh, God. I
No,
apologize.
thankfully I've never had that conversation.
I apologize.
Daddy, what's
if that
crossed? Nothing. Keep moving.
I think if
my
you,
kids go straight for the recognizable Spider-Man, Green Lantern,
Exactly.
all the characters they see around my house.
Exactly.
It is kind of funny because I got to meet the guy who plays Elmo, and kids think Elmo is real now because they totally don't see the giant black guy behind Elmo. They just it's invisible to them. They're like, he doesn't exist.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I think some of you guys got some picks you want to talk about, huh? Brock?
Sure.
Omar,
Why do I
you
always
get
have
something?
to go first?
You don't have to.
That's your idea?
Someone else got a book I can start with? Charlie had something I think you wanted to talk about?
I'm actually trying to figure out if I already pimped out the Doctor Who Star Trek crossover and how awesome the art in that book is.
I think we've talked about it, but I don't think you actually officially pimped it, so let's hear
Yeah,
it.
the art is pretty darn awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
The art in that book, the way it's written, the art, everything makes it much more approachable than any weird crossovers I've come across probably in my history of reading comics. Just
I still have
would
my
go as far
Star
as
Trek
to say
X-Men.
I would go as far as to say that somebody who just likes Doctor Who as the show could pick up that book and not find it weird or off-putting at all, and that's
It's kind of a painted style, and it's a pretty comic. Yeah, they did a good job with it.
No, I it's very rare that I rant and rave about the art in a book these days, but yeah, I was really impressed with the art, and the writing in the book worked really well too. Just I've kind of realized for me, I can tell when a book, especially if it's based on a character that I've seen on television, if I can hear the character's voice in my head, it's well written. If I can't hear the character's voice in my head, it's horribly written. And
you do love yourself some Doctor Who. So.
Yes, I do.
Well, no, because I actually can back up on this because I started rereading Game of Thrones, and I hear Ed Stark, and I hear Robert, and I hear like all the characters, and I'm like, oh, so awesome.
Yeah, and it was one of those things that I was talking about the Batman annual recently, the same way that I hear like the Batman the Animated Series, Mr. Freeze, in like every line in that book.
That was a great issue
Yeah.
too. It totally felt
So-
like what is it? What they did with Penguin.
No, it felt like the was it the Joker story, the graphic novel where we had Joker, where we kind of had this separate story, but Batman came in, but it was a really good story.
Sure.
About a different character in the Batman universe, not necessarily a hero, but somebody on the bad side.
Are you talking about the Azzarello Joker
Yeah,
story?
yeah.
That was like told through just some little like third person. Well,
Yeah,
it's
but
not
it was the
first
thug
person.
that was
the
that
thug,
that
yeah.
was the story we're talking about. Like it's nice to see us telling stories about those characters. You know, with Mr. Freeze, it was we got Mr. Freeze, and then we had the thug. You know,
Yeah.
So, in summation, if you like Doctor Who or you like Star Trek: The Next Generation, pick up the crossover. It's awesome.
Yeah, I really like the Star Trek Legion one, and now we have Next Gen and Doctor Who. So who does DS9 team up with?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No,
That's just silly.
No,
What?
Avengers?
No, it probably has to be Star Wars, right? DS9 and Star Wars would go together the best with the warlike scenario, with the base and everything. I don't know if they could, but
that would be a little too weird having the stars crossover.
I don't think you could cross the Trek and the war.
I think you'd
think-
end up with a lot of angry fans on both sides.
There's going to be people's worlds that won't make sense anymore.
Stargate.
Star
Stargate?
Trek and Stargate would work.
I can see that. Babylon 5 could work.
Yeah.
We'll get Straczynski to write it.
Yeah, Babylon 5. Absolutely.
But specifically, Babylon 5 would work really well with Deep Space Nine because it was supposed to be Deep Space Nine.
Well, but
So-
even then, they aired like back to back on UPN back in the day.
right. I'm trying to think. What else? Battlestar Galactica could work. I'm trying to think of what, because Next Gen and the original series and Enterprise a little bit. Sorry, not Enterprise. Voyager. We're not really heavy on the war aspect, although they were there. Voyager. Voyager was the other one. DS9 is very heavy in the war aspect.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if the Doctor will travel to the other starship and talk to Kirk and have to bring back a message back and stuff like that.
now, who would Voyager team up with? who would be off?
Firefly.
Who would be off the Delta Quadrant? See, I could see Firefly pulling up to DS9 too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even if it was
Firefly,
just a panel,
Prometheus.
Couldn't there be a Green Lantern Deep Space Nine crossover?
That'd be cool.
that
That'd be
would be
a really-
very cool.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh.
is this the gay version or the non-gay version?
No,
Aye, aye.
no. DS9 would be Voyager. Because it's just total, it's the opposite side of the galaxy. Sure, whatever. You run into a bunch of weird Green Lanterns. That I'll call.
Yeah.
I'll say you're right on that.
Yeah.
DS9. I guess DC did publish that Babylon 5 comic. Maybe
Yes,
they
yes,
still
they
have the
did.
rights for the Babylon 5 comics. And then get that to tie in, because they did.
What about
Yeah,
Guardians of the
but-
Galaxy?
If Marvel wanted it on this action, I'd be down with that too. Annihilation versus Deep Space Nine coming through the wormhole. Oh man, I just need Star Trek crossover comics. I don't want to read any normal comics anymore. I just want Star Trek crossover comics.
Q, make it happen.
DS9 and Galactus.
Yeah, Galactus coming through the wormhole. Oh man, everyone can come through the wormhole. It's so good. The wormhole's the best.
This
All
is
right.
like the most sexual episode I've ever heard. I'm like I'm just quiet and shock and awe.
It's
I can't
not.
say a word because all Ryan is doing is just like,
This is all you guys. This is totally just on.
no, bro,
surface
you are
level.
projecting all
is
of your shit.
all surface level
Over
for
all
me.
of us.
Because we got it out beforehand.
Yeah, right.
So he was pent up. Now he's getting it out.
This is all surface level. I love the wormhole. And yes,
Tell us more, bro. Tell us more.
Yeah, I want to know more about that.
Hey, it's just the tip of the iceberg here, people.
so there you go.
That'll come
Brock,
through the wormhole
Brock,
too.
what's your 2 picks there?
My picks are magazine kind of picks.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Well,
You know what?
It's-
I had no idea Creator on Heroes was a magazine
it's
until today.
It's kind of not. It's like it's a comic / magazine. So it's got 2 stories. It's got Trigger Girl 6 by Jimmy Palmiotti. I can't even Palmiotti. Thank you. And Justin Gray. And then there's one by American Muscle by Steve Niles, where American Muscle is a little awkward. It's like the
Those are some good creators, though.
post. It's like after the post-apocalypse and they're surviving, but they all drive muscle cars. So I mean, it's pretty cool. But it's
So like heavy metal, or I
like
mean,
Mad Max, but without.
no, I mean, but the idea. What's the idea
it's
behind it?
basically they have 2 comics
Yeah,
that they feature every month, and they're
so it's just like a anthology book.
kind of, and then they have interviews. So like the first interview was like Neil Gaiman was interviewed. And
Yeah,
then
isn't this
they
kind of
had,
like a mini version?
cosplay
Isn't
chick
this
that
like
was
a
interviewed.
mini version of heavy metal, like in a just a different direction?
No, see, because heavy metal focuses mainly on like there's a lot of stories in it, whereas this creator.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This
Heroes-
is like a mini version of it.
where this creator on Heroes is kind of it's features 2, but they're willing to play around with the format. So they started with 2. You
Who's
know,
putting it out?
Image is putting out. So Jimmy had an interview, or Jimmy had an article in there. Steve Niles had an article in there. Even the guy that does the layout for the cover had an article in there, which was pretty
Phil
interesting.
Noto.
Phil Noto, yeah. So, I mean, it was a nice change-up. You got a comic, and then you got something extra to read. So it wasn't something that you were done with in 5 minutes. So,
No.
and I mean, Trigger Girl was really, really cool concept. I'd like to see where it goes. Oh yeah, and the cosplay article, hot chicks. So I mean, the comics seem interesting enough, and I mean, if they keep up the format, I think it's a good format to go with.
This is really funny. This is kind of like the beginning of that, the manga that we were talking about in the beginning of the episode.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
kind of is, yeah.
But it's again they're experimenting with size wise.
Whoa. Give me that book you're holding right there.
Why?
Give me that. Dig Dug. What is this? Keep talking.
Jesus, you processed this shit and you never saw that?
30 years of Dig Dug. Oh, man.
He's looking at the back of the cover
He's
for
looking at the
listeners.
back of the other thing I was
for,
going to talk
Bleeding
about.
Cool.
No, this is some webcomic thing. But still, Dig Dug. I love
Nice.
Dig Dug. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
The next one is hopefully going to be a magazine. It's the Bleeding Cool magazine, the 0 issue that came out. It was just a couple articles. I mean, it's stuff that it's just kind of a physical version of bleedingcool.com. But it was nice
There's
kind
some
of to...
price guide info in there. And
Yeah, they did a Spotlight Walking Dead price guide in here. They did a little kind of review of some hot comics, Walking Dead, Star Wars. They had a big article about Valiant coming out. Little blurbs on the movies that are coming out.
So they're not just like pimping Avatar shit?
No,
Awesome.
they're just, it's really.
That's cool.
I mean, it's a lot more independent stuff, but I think that with, I mean,
Whoa, I want to see that Dig Dug.
oh jeez,
Right,
everyone's
that's
taking this away
colorful.
from me.
Whoa.
But they want to release by like every 2 months.
yeah, I think October is the first
Yeah,
issue.
every 2
Like,
months.
The magazine looks okay. It just kind of looked a little cheap. But I guess it's like $1.50 preview
Well, it's
issue,
a $1.50
so
preview issue, and I
maybe that's
think
why.
the actual issue that comes out is going to be like 100 pages and $5 or something, or $4.
Yeah.
But I think that
Oh.
It looks a lot like it's trying to pick up where Wizard left off.
well, and that's
Back
the
in,
thing is,
a couple of years ago.
and that's the thing I was going to say was I think that the comic book industry has kind of missed out ever since Wizard went away, where we don't have that central thing that people always come to. Where I mean, we still get people that come in and say, "Do you guys have Wizard magazine?" No, that was canceled like 2 years ago, bro.
Yeah.
So we don't have that kind of central magazine that holds us together. I mean, there's the back issue magazine and a couple other, but those are more kind of niche.
Well, the
They're not
back is
current.
right for sure.
This is a preview
Oh, is
issue,
that how
so
much- do we
I think
know
it's
how
going to
much
be 100 pages for
I think it's $5.
like
Yeah.
$5 or
Oh, okay.
$6.
But this looks like this is more in the style of the old Wizard magazine before it turned to their like magazine size
Yeah.
when they were still the
Sure.
comic size, which is when the magazine was the best.
Okay. Doesn't Mark Miller have some kind of magazine out? It's like Clint
got
or something like that.
He's got Clint, and that book's a piece of trash.
yeah.
Although they did relaunch it, and it's better, but I still won't carry it. So
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think that the industry does need, something, because I mean, heavy metal is. I mean, we've all picked up a copy of Heavy Metal and looked at it. Why? Because there's hot painted chicks on it, and Louis Royo does the artwork. So how can you go wrong? But we don't really get it. But I think that Bleeding Cool has the potential to be the magazine where you have the current issue of Bleeding Cool.
So all it needs is hot painted chicks with content we get.
Hey, if they have if they have a cosplay section, I think at least Omar will pick it up every month.
I'm actually
You might
kinda,
even be in it.
I'm kind of liking
right.
this creator-owned heroes thing. It looks actually really, really cool.
I read through the whole thing, and it was a good read. Like, it was nice having the interviews. It was nice kind of seeing different perspective. And it actually it's funny because I never read the back of it when they have like the creator talk thing.
Yeah.
But this kind of not necessarily makes you. It says, here it is. Read it if you want.
Cool.
I still don't know how I missed that this week. It wasn't until Brock was getting it off the shelf. I'm like, wait, we have that? I swear I didn't see it on the shelf last week.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it continues to sell because I know stuff like towards the end, Wizard's barely selling,
Well, once they went to that list format, like
and I only sold a handful of copies
Well,
of
it's not only
Bleeding
that;
Cool.
it's also the news are on the internet so much faster that
Right.
what's the point of reading something about it like a month later?
Yeah, I only sold a handful of copies of Bleeding Cool, and I only sold like one or two of the creator-owned heroes. But my hope is, if they're articles, exclusive articles to the print magazine, and if they're interesting, people will buy it. My concern with Bleeding Cool is if it's supposed to be quote-unquote news. I don't know that people are going to care because that's what we have their own website and other stuff for. But if they can do more things like the price guides and actually expand that out,
it's not news. It's
and articles
it's
more
art,
than
it's
news.
it's more print articles like the like Valiant and New Unity. It's talking about the Valiant comics coming out and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to do it.
With defining the Boom generation, like talking about Boom Studios and what's going on with them. The summer blockbusters. It's just quick little blurbs on these are the movies that are coming out.
Right.
Like it has an article on The Massive, which is coming out on Wednesday.
Yep.
It's just like a little quick quick question and answer interviews or overall, it's a quick kind of look at it. It's not what it like Wizard kept trying to do was break the story and do all this stuff,
Not by the end. No.
Yeah.
No.
But I hate to say it, if it's a quick check it out kind of thing, it's got to be cheap.
Yeah, I was gonna say at 150, I was like, hey, I'm actually totally down for that. But the minute you say $5, I'm like, I don't know.
This is just the zero issue, and this is 40 pages.
yeah.
They're going to bring it. It's like 100 pages, so it doesn't say a price here. But I mean,
Yeah, I almost
Hopefully
want
they'll-
them to keep it like that. I mean, $1.50,
well, I
that
think they're going
size.
to. I think they're going to keep this comic book size. Hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah, I just like if it's something just to look at, I really do want it cheap. It comes back to the manga factors, like you want it cheap. That's when you just kind
But
of read it.
we are-
Especially
we are
because
featured
it's
on page
not
38.
really a collectible either.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
to me,
again,
they're putting on really good paper there.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking, like, to a degree, not like entirely, but to a degree, it reminds me of comic shop news, which you just give when people come into
Yeah.
the shop. So it's,
That's only like 8 pages.
well, no, I'm not saying there's a big difference between the two in terms of size and such, but again, the problem with sort of a magazine like that for me is, and this was my problem with Wizard and a lot of that stuff, is if I'm paying for something, I want to actually check out all the content in there. If I only am interested in one of the articles or two of the articles and there's another 80 pages I don't care about, I overpaid for that magazine.
A different spin. I think it's cool to see something like that in print, in shops and being exposed just to the masses in general, because this is a thing too. Like, a lot of people, there's these figures, these voices out there, amongst the internets, whatever. These people are brought forward and they're considered like these valid voices of, say the comic book world or nerddom, whatever. I'd like to see Harry Knowles get pushed to the side because he's kind of outdated and old and doesn't represent the generation. I think it should be like Rich Johnson, should be like Connor Kilpatrick or like Ron Richards at iFanboy. These are guys that do actually read books, and these are people that are not just these faces and put themselves before like the whole, industry.
In that way, I do definitely agree with you that there needs to be some new faces in the industry.
All right. Any other picks
And they
up
should
there?
be Ryan.
Hey. Oh, hell
Well,
no.
he's definitely one of them. People listen to him.
I got a face for radio. That's all I'm saying. All right. You guys, anything else? Any picks? Anyone want to talk something?
Oh, for sure, Aquaman.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, Aquaman is definitely like where I hoped it was going to be. There's no more fish fillet jokes and talking to seahorses. It's all about him being this cool little like leader for this like special black ops group of bunch of multi-ethnic heroes called
He's
the Others.
not little.
Okay, well, big.
Yeah.
He's a big, tough brute. It's everything like Jeff Johns promised. And then we also get the side story where Mira's kind of like defending her man and trying to beat up this small little scrawny Korean guy that was trying to like, make money and become famous off of his, his discovery because, he was the big discovery, this merged Atlantean human hybrid, whatever. So I'm really enjoying that book. Everyone should be reading it. Is it still like on the top 15? I hope?
I mean, yeah, it's still way up there. Yeah.
So, it's definitely gone where I hoped it to be. And, Ivan Rice, who doesn't really get as much, I think, props. I mean, amongst people within the comics world, his name isn't brought up as much as Jeff Johns and also Joe Prado. I mean, their work is the best that it's ever been. I think it's better than a lot of stuff we've seen in Blackest Night. So, people should check it out if they're not reading any Aquaman books.
I second that. Jeff Johns can do no wrong.
I will tend to
Plural.
that.
Jeff Johns.
Jeff Johns is.
Waiting for the hardcover.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy it. It's awesome.
All right, we'll go ahead and wrap this episode up then, unless there's anything else.
Toby, you
I-
got
Another
a
pick, Toby?
I don't read comic books
Oh.
anymore, so
Young Justice.
I'm still like 2 episodes
Oh my
behind.
god.
Invasion?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Holy cartoon?
Oh my
We
god.
will
Dude,
never
you're not cut
leave
off on
the
this shit?
cartoon.
Oh
Can we
my
talk
God.
about it next week?
Oh,
Because,
dude. Have you seen the newest episode?
I'm totally caught up on all that shit. It's
Oh
just
my
like that's
God.
the only thing I look forward to now on my weekly
Dude.
serials because Game of
Dude.
Thrones is over, right?
Dude,
So
Nightwing is the shit.
Okay. Next week.
Nightwing
Next
is the
week.
shit. There's a reason why
Aqualad.
it was my favorite character to begin with, and he's still proving it
Aqualad
over
is
and
the
over
shit.
and over that he's no, because Nightwing engineered that shit.
yeah, now
Next-
you're
next-
now
next-
you're-
Nightwing is the
yeah,
brains.
Now you're ruining it for Ryan.
No spoilers. Next week. We'll talk. And then Brock wants to talk some Prometheus next week too.
Yes.
So because I'm going to see it on Thursday. I haven't seen it
Please
yet.
see it.
So we'll talk some of that.
And if you
too.
haven't seen it, go see it.
Yeah. Not comic books, but hey, what can you do? All right, we're going to wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for listening. It was a fun episode. If you want to hear this episode or more episodes like this, you can go to www.geekbox.net, where you can listen to this podcast, as well as the Geekbox, the Comedy Button, and Good Job Brain, as well as the All Talk podcast, which is in the forums, which is on forums.geekbox.net. And also go to the comic book forum on there and talk about some comic books. It's been a little quiet recently, so come say hey. We actually had a lot of new people posting there, so I don't know, it's been nothing to talk about in the last week or two, I guess. What else we got? You can send us an email, thecomicconspiracy@geekbox.net, or hit us up on Twitter if you have any questions, or on the contact form on geekbox.net. You can message us there and send us something that links directly to us so we can get that. Or go on the forums and ask our questions there. It doesn't matter where you ask us. We'll answer it somehow. You can go to Brock's blog, which is conspiratorockbrock.com. Comics into Kind is Omar's site.
Yeah.
The Infinite Long Box is Charlie's other podcast where he gets confused about whether he's talked to us about stuff or them about stuff.
That's
wait
okay.
and-
I'll just talk about it 2 or 3 extra times on both, and then I know it's covered.
Yeah, just wait until this does 3 or 4 podcasts. He's gonna get really confused. There.
Charlie's going to have an empire pretty soon, I
Yeah.
bet. You can follow us all on Twitter. I'm Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock Sager. Comics into Kind is Omar. Toby XI is Toby. And Insanity in Chaos is Charlie. Jim doesn't use the tweeters, so don't follow him because he doesn't like the internet.
I think he's on farmersonly.com.
Farmers only.
What the hell?
I just wanted to bring that up somehow because that's the funniest shit I've ever seen on TV.
I don't know what this
Funniest
is.
fucking commercial ever.
I am not linked to that, just so you know.
I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know what this is.
Check it out.
Yeah. But I think that's everything. We did mention earlier in the episode that we had some fantastic sales in our digital comics last month, and if we would like to continue that. So if you'd like to support this podcast as well as the retail store in which we reside and record in, you can go to digital.comicsconspiracy.biz and buy all your product on there and keep hammering away at Comixology and get them to fix their website that works on HTML5 and Apple products, because currently it's Flash-based for retailers, and that sucks for anyone with Apple products, unless you know a way around it.
I found the glitch last week.
What's the
Red
glitch?
Lantern 10 wasn't posted on either one.
Really?
Yeah, I went to link it, deep link it, and I couldn't get to it through our digital storefront, and then I went to the main digital storefront, and it wasn't even up there. So didn't even get a thank you from the Comixology people for pointing that out.
What assholes?
Jack.
No, they're not assholes. They're fantastic. And they give you digital comics, and you should buy digital comics. You can also buy physical comics from us if you want to, which is cool.
And they have awesome sales.
They do have some crazy sales.
I have an idea for your, your whole title for this podcast. It should be like, what is it? Deep Space Nine wormholes. Deep. Would you just say Dink Blinket? It's like
Deep linking,
Deep
Space
link the
Nine's
wormhole.
It totally sounds like the next triple X video.
Well, Omar, you can film and direct that. I know you want to. So.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, we'll catch everyone next time.